Thrill Me.
This show is part of the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Experience more on Facebook and YouTube.
Heyo, and welcome to the 100th episode of the Review It Rob show, man. I am, of course, your host, Review It Rob, coming at you from the Thrill Me Podcast Network with so much news. Not really. Got a good bit of news, but it's mostly DC and horror news, and got a review of the latest film to release as part of the Wizarding World. That's right, I'm going to be talking about Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore on this week's episode. That's your main event. That's your prime time review for this week. Hope everybody out there's been doing good. Been doing great since the last time we chatted. I've myself been doing great. Last week got a lot of viewings in. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw me posting about that. Again, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or anywhere else as well. You follow me with the Thrill Me Podcast Network on YouTube and Facebook as well. And I tell you, man, been having a good blast, and just being the fact of recording this right now and then knowing it's the 100th episode that I've done of this very show, man, the Review It Rob show, an idea that just sparked 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, where I was just like, man, I want to talk about movies and just put it out there and talk about the thing I'm passionate about. And as the years have gone by, I've talked other things like Halloween Horror Nights or, WWE or video games and all this stuff, and the show's kind of shaped and molded and all that stuff. That's why that Let's Get Twisted song at the beginning is so fitting for this show, because there's just so much stuff going on. But primarily and mainly, the show is a movie news, what's releasing, and review show, man. And starting this journey, like I said, 2 years ago and to now, it's just been a great ride, man. And those early episodes were tough. They were rough. If you go back and listen to them, you definitely tell. Didn't really have my footing at that point in time. While I did do some podcasting before, I was always podcasting with my brother, and I was able to take breaks and all that stuff. Going and taking the leap into doing my own show and being the main person talking, the only person talking, quite frankly. I've only had one guest on this show, and it's my fellow podcast, Thrill Me Podcast Network brother, Zach over there, man. So yeah, I mean, as this ride has been going on, I've just been getting more and more confident, I think, and I believe I don't ever listen to my show, but I've heard other people say, man, your show is sounding great, and your show is great, and I love listening to your show, and I love your takes and your reviews and all that stuff, which is awesome to hear. Because like I said, I went into this show with my passion of films, and if anybody can listen to the show and feel that from me talking about them, and then be able to take my opinion on a movie and go watch it and be like, oh yeah, man, I agree with you. That's pretty freaking cool, dude. Do we always agree on the same thing? No, that's fine. We all have differing opinions. That's why I always share the Rotten Tomatoes score and the IMDb scores before giving my feeling, because there's so many different, reviews and thoughts and everything about films, and not one singular person's ever right. It's just your own opinion, and you listen to that and you look at it and you go from there. So just a lot of talking there, just to say I'm appreciative of everybody who's taken the time to listen to the show. The show's, anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, mostly like 40 minutes to an hour. And again, it's just amazing to be able to do this every week and do something like this weekly, and just, be able to branch out, man, because I'm not like the most talkative person in real life. If you've ever met me in real life, kind of a calm dude. I'm not shy or anything. I used to be shy, But I think that's something else that this show has helped me with, is I'm a little more outgoing, or at least, more open to talking to people and all that stuff. But I'm like a calm person. I'm like that person that's in the group that's like, he's the chill one, he's the relaxed one. He'll talk to you when he's got something to talk about, but other than that, he's just happy hanging out with you. I am the, wouldn't say, I don't know if I would say loner by any means. I do like being by myself. I enjoy that time. But when I'm with a group of friends, I'm really happy and having a great time. It's just, I'm the calm one. I let all the other people shine. Because I shine by just my looks. You know what I'm saying? Just kidding. Anyways, moving on. Again, very appreciative of everybody that's been on this journey for the 2 years that this has been, now getting to episode 100, man. And this show's gonna keep going. We're doing a lot of great things, as I mentioned a couple times already. The Throw Me Podcast Network started this year when I'm with my brothers in many ways, my biological brother and my brothers, Zach and Mr. Wonderful, who, met through podcasts, had a great time as well. Got to shout out Brooke, who's an amazing member of Hunter's podcast, and she's a part of the Throw Me Podcast Network. And we're just having a ball, man, having a great time, and can't wait to continue to grow with this network and continue to grow all of our visions together and just being this cool, awesome group of just, having a good time, man, because that's what it's all about in life. You can figure out what you're passionate about and can throw it in to everything, and you can have a great time. That's awesome, as long as you're not doing anything, stupid or, illegal and all that stuff, But anyways, just so proud and happy of where the show's gone. I love doing this show so much. I'm happy to have continued going with it, because this show, at one point in time, like, I love doing the show, but it started becoming like a work, and it started becoming, dealing with, idiots on Twitter and all that stuff, which is very appropriate of the episode's name of Hunter's podcast this week. Twitter sucks, which it does. And, the show, at one point, I'm like, man, it's not worth it dealing with, these idiots that are attacking you and all that stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, screw them, man. Continue having your fun. Don't let other people ruin your happiness and what you love doing. And I just kept going, man. Just kept going and having a good time with the show, and I'm glad I kept doing that, because like I said, love doing this. This is a passion of mine. I absolutely love and enjoy doing this so much. And, don't make it a work. Don't make it like something where you have to feel like, oh, I have to do this for the show. Because when you start doing that, it becomes less about something that you have fun doing and more about becoming a job. And this isn't about being a job, man. This is about, talking about what you love and what you enjoy and throwing it out there, man. So hooray to 100 episodes. Hooray to everybody that's been with me and all the new people who've come in as well that have enjoyed the show. I appreciate all of you. And we're going to keep moving forward, man. The show's going to keep going. We're going to keep having a great time. We're going to be talking a lot of stuff on the show. But again, we primarily talk movie news, especially including DC Comics and the horror realms, man. So without further ado, let's talk about some stuff that has happened since the last time we chatted here. Kicking things off with the amazingly incredible Stranger Things Season 4 trailer dropped the day after I released my episode last week, so I couldn't get the fresh reaction. I believe Mr. Wonderful talked about it, and Zach did a freaking reaction trailer to Season 4, man, which he's doing awesome reaction trailers over there. Again, you got to follow the YouTube. We're doing all kinds of crazy, awesome stuff over there. But yeah, that trailer dropped, and my mind dropped, man. I lost my mind with how awesome this thing looks. You already know me. I love that show to death, and I've been highly anticipating and waiting for Season 4 to drop, and just all the teasers we've got and posters we've got and all that stuff. It just builds and builds and builds. And then this trailer comes out, man, and it's rocking with Journey, and I love Journey. I'm a Journey fan. And, it just seeing all the images, and you see how it's definitely going into the more of this horror realm. Kind of like one of my first thoughts after, how appropriate, because I'm talking about a Wizarding World movie here, is if you've watched the Harry Potter franchise, the first films start off kind of, kind of childlike, and then they start getting serious and serious and serious and seriouser as things go on. And while the first season of Stranger Things wasn't like the most childlike show, there was still that it wasn't as dark as it is now getting to. And we clearly see in this fourth trailer that is definitely getting dark. It's definitely hitting a horror realm. I mean, you got one of the horror masters with freaking Robert Englund in the show. Is it the big bad? Is he not? Who knows, man? We'll see when the show happens. But just so many cool stuff. And we see Max. We know Max is doing something in the trailer where, one of the first scenes we saw was her at Billy's grave, and it like freaking waterworks started for me, because Billy's my favorite character, if you didn't know. And mostly because I love that actor. I'm a big Dacre Montgomery fan. Shout out Power Rangers. But shout out Billy. And shout out, he's in the Elvis movie that's coming out later this year that I'm highly anticipating. But, the trailer looks freaking incredible. I'm hooked. Loved it. The song I've listened to like 1,000 times, the mix of the Journey song that's in the trailer. has its own song out there now on YouTube Music. I'm sure it's on Spotify and all that other stuff too. Just been rocking that and just been completely losing my mind and so happy about it, man. Can't wait for Stranger Things Season 4 to get here. Part 1 and then Part 2 comes later on this year as well. Other than that, today, as they're recording this episode, Thor, Love and Thunder. Is that what it's called? Love and Thunder? Yeah. Thor, Love and Thunder's trailer dropped. And I'm going to be honest, it's a teaser, and I get it. I'm not dumb. I understand it's a teaser. It didn't do much for me, man. And I don't know. It's not like because I'm anti-Marvel. I'm not anti-Marvel. I've enjoyed plenty of Marvel things. I own a freaking Black Panther mask for crying out loud. But I don't know what it was, man. The trailer's fine. It was fun. Like I said, it's a teaser trailer, so it sets you up for things. You see Lady Thor. You see it still has the comedic Taika Waititi stuff carrying over from Thor Ragnarok and all that stuff. Sweet Child of Mine playing throughout the trailer. I love GNR. GNR is an awesome band, so that was cool and all that. I don't know what it was about the trailer. It didn't, blow my mind like it's apparently blown everybody else's mind. And speaking of, Zach and Brooke from Hunter's Podcast and the Third Me Podcast Network did a reaction to that trailer on the Third Me Podcast Network. You can see that as well, YouTube page. And the Facebook, I believe it was shared to the Facebook as well. Again, not bad. Seems fun. I love seeing Star-Lord in it. I do like Star-Lord's character a lot. I know a lot of people have turned on Chris Pratt over the last couple of years. But I have no problem with him, and big ups to him, man. I mean, Jurassic World Dominion coming out this year, which is obviously going to be a huge film, and then he's got a role in Thor: Love and Thunder. Obviously, the Guardians are part of it. If you saw the end of Avengers getting the game, you understand why that is. And big shout out to Mr. Wonderful, because I saw his tweet earlier today. Like one of the only reasons I stay on Twitter is just to connect with some of the cool people I've met on there, and of course, Mr. Wonderful is one of them. And he tweeted out something like he hopes, the Guardians aren't like he didn't say blink and miss it cameo, but pretty much the same idea where it's like, how much are they really going to be in this movie and how much of a factor are they really going to be in this movie? Is it going to be like Jeff Goldblum was in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, where it's like, oh, the trailer shows he's there, but, he's barely in the movie. So we'll see what ends up happening there, but I'm excited to see at least the Guardians, man. I like the Guardians, especially, Star-Lord, so we'll see where that goes, man. 2 awesome trailers released since the last time we talked. And it's both of them. I highly suggest checking out both of those, as well as the reaction trailers over there on the Throw Me Podcast Network YouTube, where you can also see that we did a like an old sitcom opening, like one of those things where people do like the goofy, cheesy looks and all that stuff. Videos, it cuts through all of us. It's pretty awesome, man. Check that out as well. So other than that, let's see. That was a trailer talk. Let's jump into some news. And one of the big news articles talked about last week was the merger is officially happening. I believe it becomes official next month between Discovery and Warner Brothers and all that, becoming Warner Brothers Discovery. And, awesome, cool, bring it on. It seems like one of the main focuses that they're going to be looking at is that the new owners are wanting to do something with DC Entertainment. And what they're exploring like an overhaul of DC Entertainment, according to multiple sources telling Variety, is where I'm getting this information from. Basically, they want to unlock the full potential of DC Comics universe of characters. Discover insiders believe that although DC has achieved cinematic success, especially recently with the Batman, that it has been lacking a coherent creative brand strategy. Discovery believes that several top-shelf characters such as Superman has been left to languish and needs to be revitalized. They also believe that projects like the Joker are a shining example of how second-build characters from the DC library can and should be exploited. So, I mean, I'm not entirely against it. Like, I'm fine with what DC Entertainment or DCEU is doing. I don't have a problem with it. I don't understand the problem people have with it. Oh, it's like, oh, it's not very well connected. Who gives a fuck, man? It doesn't have to be Marvel, right? It doesn't. I don't know why people get this idea of, oh, they have to do what Marvel does. Dude, Marvel's been doing what DC and the Wizarding World has been doing, all right? So DC doesn't have to do what Marvel does. But I mean, if we want to do like this branded bridging, putting one cohesive story together and all this stuff, fine, but I don't think it's necessary, especially with that last thing I talked about there where they're like, oh, we can do films like the Joker with second build characters and all that stuff. Man, do it. That's why I like these movies that aren't connected to everything. It's because you can do stuff like this. The Joker can be its own set-along film. The Batman, for all intents and purposes and beliefs right now, is its own thing, man. And it's cool, dude. Now, I mean, the Flash movie, which we'll see what ends up happening with that. It was pushed back for CGI effects and all that stuff because CGI effects are backed up right now because films have been able to start filming now because, the COVID nonsense is slowing down. So we'll see what happens with the Flash film and where they go with that and if that's truly being the reboot of everything or not. Like I said, I'm here for DC. I love DC Comics. If they want to do something like this, sure, I'm going to back them up and support it. I agree. Superman has been left by his side way too long. Why have we not got more of a Superman? And why is Henry Cavill not doing it? What is the problem here? Henry Cavill's an amazing Superman. So much so that before seeing his portrayal of Superman, like, I wasn't the big Superman fan. But watching his movie and watching his portrayal of the character, the times he got to play it, I'm like, freaking A, dude, man, this is awesome. He is Superman. Like, I mean, you still want to go through with the reported Michael B. Jordan Superman? Cool, awesome, do it. There's separate Earths in DC, and you can do all this stuff, man. But like, I agree, something needs to be done with Superman. And Wonder Woman's still out there. There was a report that Patty Jenkins was fired, but I've got no actual conclusive evidence of that happening. So that's just a stupid rumor out on the internet. But Wonder Woman 3 is still in the way. Batfleck seems to be done. He's believed to be in the Flash film, and then of course we know Michael Keaton's Batman is in the Flash film, as well as the Batgirl HBO Max film that's coming. So we'll see what happens, man. All I know is I'm excited about all of these things. Aquaman 2, we're not going there. Not excited about that. But speaking of, man, somebody is looking very shady, as she always has, with all this trial that's going on right now. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that. But anyways, that's what's going on there. We're going to see, once this merger gets done, it seems like big thing that they want to take care of is DC Comics, the DC Entertainment, man. So go ahead, man. Go for it. Like I said, the Batman was very successful, so I don't know why you want to shy away from that idea, but if you want to do like this freaking connected universe of stories, do it, man. It's fine with me. And while we're on that same realm of the DC, or DC, the Discovery and Warner Brothers merger, I believe I left off last week's episode. Like, I don't know if it's going to be one app, if it's going to be the same two apps still out there. The CFO for Discovery said that the two streamers are expecting to, be one. But as of right now, HBO Max and Discovery Plus will be two separate brandings because bundling two streaming services is apparently hard to do. Which, I can see. Makes sense. It's a lot of library and entertainment you got to move over and, all that stuff. So for now, if you have HBO Max, you don't have to worry about anything. Just keep having HBO Max. If you have Discovery Plus, don't worry. Eventually, at some point in time, they will merge together and be one, and I'm sure it'll be called like Discovery Max or something like that. I don't know, dude. I don't know. But we're going to end up seeing what happens with that, and we'll go from there. Let's see. Other news, before I get into the horror news, Seth Macfarlane will, in fact, be reprising his role as the voice of the foul-mouthed teddy bear, Ted, in the upcoming Ted show for Peacock. In Ted, the series is set in 1993, and Ted's moment of fame has passed, leaving him living with his best friend, 16-year-old John Bennett, who lives in a working-class Boston home with his parents and cousin. Ted might not be the best influence on John, but when it comes right down to it, Ted's willing to go out on a limb to help his friend and his family. John is a good guy and likable teen who is, however, still in his awkward phase. With Ted's help, John is doing his best to navigate adolescence. Now, I like the Ted movies. The Ted movies are very funny. I like Seth MacFarlane, man. I've enjoyed everything he's done, including that freaking Western movie, which was bonkers. So it's cool to see he's back on board with it. I couldn't imagine anybody else doing the voice of Ted. I don't know if it'd be as, high profile of anger as people are having about Chris Evans doing the voice of Buzz Lightyear, which I'm still not the hugest fan of, but we're not going to go there. So, cool. I enjoy it. I'm into it. I'm definitely going to end up watching it. I'm going to have a good time with that show because, like I said, I like the other movies, man. Anytime I hear about freaking Law and Order, first thought is always the scene in Ted where, he and Mark Wahlberg are sitting on the couch making lyrics to the Law and Order theme, man. Bam, 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 some law. That's so good, man. So good, man. Now I want to watch Ted. I'm going to have to watch Ted soon, probably. Alright, so going from Ted, let's head into the horror realm as we talk news involving horror. Let's see. First bit of news we got here is that Rob Zombie and Dee Wallace will be teaming up once again, as Rob Zombie announced that Dee Wallace will be in his Monsters film. Dee is the voice of Good Morning Transylvania, Transylvania's second favorite morning show, soon slipping to third if they don't update their format. Now, of course, if you don't know Dee Wallace, kiddies, she is icon in the horror realm, if you will. She was in Cujo, she was in The Howling, she was in Critters, and of course she was in E.T. I know it's not a horror movie, but E.T. is one of the biggest movies of all time. Come on. As well, like I said, she's teaming with Rob Zombie again. She was in Rob Zombie's Halloween, one of my personal all-time favorite films, which is on Netflix, by the way. Give it a check out. Going with an open mind, man. It's a reimagining. Don't, she was in Lords of Salem as well as 3 from Hell. You know me, dude. Love Rob Zombie. I love his directing, and I loved his music. So, obviously, very, very excited about it and seeing where that goes. Let's see. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. What's going on with it? Well, he said, quote, I don't know. In an interview, he said, by getting straight to the point, that has fallen apart twice. I'm trying to get the word out because the word did carry that Harry Styles was going to be in the movie. Just want to make it clear he was going to be Hutter, not Nosferatu himself. He continued on saying, I've been trying so hard and I just wonder if F.W. Morrow's ghost is telling me you should stop. Of course, Morrow was the director of the original classic Nosferatu that was released 100 years ago. In another interview, Eggers said that he loved to reteam with William Dafoe, who he worked with for The Lighthouse. Now, if William Dafoe was to be part of this Nosferatu film, would he be playing Nosferatu again? Because he did play it in the the movie released in the 2000s called Shadow of the Vampire. So, would he be playing the same Nosferatu character? Would he not? Would he even be in the movie? Is the movie even happening? Who freaking knows, dude? Who knows? This movie apparently has had Anya Taylor-Joy attached to it. Speaking of her and Robert Eggers, the Northman, is why he was talking about this, because he's doing press for that. We'll talk about that movie a little bit later in the episode. But, I mean, I'm for it. I recently watched Nosferatu for my spook show, which Patreon's going away. If you're a Patreon member, just let you know that it's reaches 10. Don't feel bad for me. Don't feel bad. There's things planned possibly for it to be revived in some way, shape, or form later on. But for the time being, it's gotta take a sleep. But anyways, I enjoyed Nosferatu. I thought it was good. Holds up. I mean, 100 years later, you got to put yourself in the mindset of, okay, silent film and all this stuff. Good. It's got spooky elements. Enjoyable. So, I mean, it's easy. And I don't know why they're having a hard time making the film. Is it a cursed film? Ooh, that's something else I watched over the weekend. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. We'll see, man. We'll see what ends up happening with that, and I will have the updates for you when we get there. The next 2 bits of news here involve Lionsgate. They are reportedly looking to relaunch 2 of their film franchises. First one being the Blair Witch Project. There is reports that they're looking to find some writers and everything to do a new Blair Witch Project film, which apparently the last one came out 6 years ago, and I don't remember that at all. Just to be fair, I don't remember that happening at all. Wow. The Blair Witch Project, of course, started back in 1999 and had its own sequel, and then in 2016 there was a reboot. I guess. I don't know. I don't remember that movie at all again. As well, they've done books. There's a video game? There's a Blair Witch Project video game. Are you kidding me right now? Where have I been? How did I miss these things? Wow. Okay, whatever. So yeah, they're looking to do another Blair Witch Project film. Fine. I haven't seen the original Blair Witch Project movie in a long time. Or the sequel, and obviously I've never seen that 2016 movie. So, you know how I feel about the franchise, and that key of importance to me. I know it was a big deal back when it came out. I'm not a big shaky camera fan, so that's probably the reason I haven't gone back to watching that movie. I'm not a found footage fan. Just me personally. I'm sure there's other people out there the same way. It's the reason I haven't seen Cloverfield yet. I don't like that camera operations. I don't like playing video games at first person either. It's just a thing with me. It's just I don't feel good watching stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. We'll keep you updated on what ends up happening with the Blair Witch Project, but that's one thing that Lionsgate's working on. The other thing that Lionsgate is looking to possibly revitalize is the Leprechaun franchise. The franchise started back in 1993. It's had 5 sequels after that. It had a reboot, had a Returns film, it had an Origins film. So it's about 8 movies in that franchise. I've seen about none of them. So I've seen like bits and pieces of the first one, the one with Jennifer Aniston and all that. But I don't remember a damn thing about it. And then I was supposed to watch Leprechaun in Space or Leprechaun Goes to Space or whatever with like a virtual get together, watch along with my buds. And Redbox was like, fuck no, you're not. And apparently that turned out to be a good thing because they hated that movie. They were miserable the whole time. So sorry, dudes, if you're listening. Sorry. I'm glad I missed out on that one though, apparently. But yeah, they're trying to do another Leprechaun film, and somebody's thrown their name in the hat, if you will, in the Leprechaun hat. Is there a name for the Leprechaun hat? Can I just call it Leprechaun hat? I'm calling it Leprechaun hat. Is Darren Lynn Bousman, who you know from some of the Saw films, including the most recent Spiral from the Book of Saw. He has publicly asked Lionsgate to let him have a stab at the horror comedy franchise, saying, quote, "For starters, he'd definitely bring back Warwick Davis. I would make a more direct sequel to the Leprechaun franchise. I would not reboot it. I don't want to do that. I would demand that Warwick Davis comes back. I wouldn't do it without him. I would not try to change the tone. I would make it equally as batshit bonkers as crazy. It would be between the first film and Back to the Hood. It would be somewhere in that total frame. It got really ridiculous as they went on, but that ridiculousness is what made them fun. So, more power to them if they want to do the franchise. I'm still waiting for Chucky versus the Leprechaun to happen because, I mean, why not? And Chucky would obviously win. Come on. All right, anyways, let's jump into, I've got surprise horror reviews for you babies. So, kicking it off, first movie I want to talk about is the first horror movie I watched over the weekend or over the last week since we talked. Actually, before we get there, I watched Cursed Films Part 2, Season 2, whatever you want to call it, on Shudder, which is obviously my favorite streaming service because I love the horror. And I'm enjoying this thing a lot, man. I went back and rewatched the Wizard of Oz one because it's just so, it's interesting, I guess is the term to use, lack of a better term, of just the things that happen around that movie. And it was like, oh man, this is insanity and the stuff that happened and all that. And you know, I wanted to rewatch that one. I'll probably end up watching it again. But the new episode came out last week. They release new episodes every Wednesday or Thursday, and this week was Rosemary's Baby, which is a movie I have not seen. To be fair, which I need to see, and I believe is on some streaming service. I saw it the other day. It's on some streaming service. Of course, it's on some streaming service. Most movies are on streaming services. Rosemary's Baby. There we go. 1968. It is on Paramount Plus. So if you have Paramount Plus, go that. It's on Sling and Roku and all that stuff. But it's on Paramount Plus. And like I said, I haven't seen much to do with that movie. But that movie was directed by Roman Polanski, which is its own issue. And then, of course, they definitely talk about Charles Manson and that stuff. And I feel like that's it was still an interesting episode, and some of the parallels of things that happened are, you know, obviously you can understand why they think the film was cursed. But yeah, they spent a lot of time talking the Charles Manson murders, Manson family murders, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, whatever, more power to them, I guess. But never understood the fascination with the Manson family. But there you go, Cursed Films 2. I don't know what episode 3 is going to be, but I'm highly anticipating waiting to see that, man. It's going to be a good time. I'm enjoying this. I love documentaries, especially about horror films and everything. It just, movies in general, I love documentaries, behind the scenes stuff. So this has been a fun watch for sure. But anyways, I checked out a movie. Checked out 3 new movies last week, man. And the first one I saw was Fantastic Beasts. We're going to talk about that later. Like I said, that's the main event. That's the main event. Yeah. But I ended up watching The Cellar, which is a new Shudder original film. Was released in limited theaters, and it was, of course, on the Shudder streaming service. It is considered a mystery thriller horror film. It's 1 hour and 24 minutes. It's not that long of a film. It basically has to deal with, a daughter disappears, just vanishes out of, nowhere when she goes down into the cellar. And let me tell you, man, Rotten Tomatoes has this movie critic score at a 31%. Fuck them, dude. Fuck them. I was watching something the other day that was talking about Rotten Tomatoes about how, screw them. They have no idea. They're not the smartest people in the world. And when I see this stuff, I completely agree with that, because this movie is not at 31%. This movie is a very enjoyable movie. I had a great time watching this movie, actually, and I would consider it more of the mystery thriller realm than, actual horror realm. But I can get why they kind of threw horror in there, but like, dude, it's a solid film, man. I enjoyed this movie. There's moments where, the mystery of it all, and you're like, what the hell is going on? And like in the good, what the hell is going on? Not like one of those, what the hell is going on? Like, what the fuck? It's more the like, oh, this is interesting. Where are we going with this? How are they doing that? And the stuff that they go into and all the stuff I found very interesting. I like the idea, and like I said, I go around myself not to spoil anything because I don't like spoiling movies. But I think it was a interesting idea, and the route that they ended up going in. This movie was cool to me. I had a good time watching the whole movie. I liked the idea of it. I thought there was good elements. There's good jump scares in it, and like I said, the mystery of it, the mystery and the thriller aspect of it got me, man. I definitely would watch this movie again. I don't know if it's gonna make like my top 10 of the year or anything like that. Maybe it could squeak in at 10 because it's it's pretty solid, man. I had a good time and a decent time watching it. Like I said, it's only an hour and 24 minutes, so it's not like it doesn't take long to get going. It's a good pace. It's, anytime things slow down, it's more of informational purposes. And I wouldn't even say it's a slow down there. It's like, oh, fuck, that's what they're doing. Okay, cool. That's how I felt watching the movie. I was like, oh, cool. I like this. I like this idea. I like where we're going here. It's not, too much of the most original idea because, how many horror movies have we seen where, a family moves into a new house and guess what? The house has some kind of fucking curse on it or there's something going on with it. And, you know, and that's what my first thought was watching the movie and going into the movie. I'm like, okay, well, there's something going on with the house. We've seen this. Let's see how this ends up going. And it went well to me. Like, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I will probably end up watching it yet again at some point later on in this year. Maybe I'll watch it during Halloween, if not sooner. But I do think it's worth the check out, man, especially if you have Shudder. Like, and you should have Shudder. I mean, it's like what, $7 a month? And you get all this endless amounts of horror movies, these awesome documentaries and all this stuff, man. Yes, get Shudder. It's absolutely worth it. But The Cellar, definitely check it out. I liked it. I liked it a lot. The other movie I watched this weekend, a brand new movie, is called Choose or Die, which is a horror mystery thriller as well. And it is 1 hour and 25 minutes, so actually 1 minute more than The Cellar. And this is a Netflix movie. Going back to The Cellar real quick, the audience score for the film is 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 5.3 out of 10 on IMDb. Back over to Choose or Die. Rotten Tomatoes critic score and audience score is actually matched at 24%. Interesting. And IMDb has it a 4.8 out of 10. Oh my gosh, they left the 5 realm. Oh, surprising. Basically, what this movie has to deal with without spoiling anything is, these two kids come across an classic 80s video game where, you have to play it. And if you survive, you win a reward or some shit. And I know what you're thinking. Like, when I was reading it off just then, I'm like, oh, so it's like Jumanji. Old game, old classic ancient game. Kids play it. All hell breaks loose, right? Mind you that. What's another video game movie we've had? Stay Alive. Stay alive. Stay alive. Stay alive. You play the game. If you die in the game, you die in real life. I enjoy that movie. I love that movie. And I don't think it's just because of Sophia Bush. Love Sophia Bush. She's one of my favorite actresses. But it's not just because of her, man. I like the concept, I like the idea, and it's a fun movie. I watched that movie several times. It's a must-watch every year for me. I like Stay Alive a lot. And then, is there a freaking Emma Roberts movie that's like this? I'll look that up real quick. I haven't seen the actual movie. I remember seeing the trailers a long time ago. Isn't there? Let's see. Emma Roberts. Let me see something. That's how this show works, baby. Emma Roberts game movie. Search. Nerve, 2016. So, like, what, 6 years ago? It's got a better critic score, I'll tell you that much. Let's see. a popular online game that challenges players to accept a series of dates. It's not long before the adrenaline-fueled competition requires them to perform increasingly dangerous stunts. High-stakes finale that will ultimately determine entire future. So not exactly the same, but still, you got to play a game and the stakes rise as it goes on. Of course. So yeah, with this movie, Choose or Die, it's fine, I guess. I don't want to overly hate on it because I wasn't miserable while watching it, but it wasn't the best time, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't hate myself after watching it, but I definitely left the movie like, I don't need to see that again. It's fine. It's a fine film, like I mentioned. It has the aspects of like a Stay Alive, but of course, this one, not so much having to deal with, if you die in the game, you die in real life. It has more to deal with. You have to do these obstacles and all that stuff in the game, which is a fine idea, and I get it. It's fine, and the movie's not horrible, but it's just it's hard to say without spoiling anything. It's just I wasn't left with like this feeling of, maybe it's because I watched it at the cellar, and the cellar had me so interested and it's like pulling me in and all this stuff. I'm like, I want to see where this goes. As where with Choose or Die, I'm like, yeah, I want to kind of see where everything goes here, but at the same time, it's not pulling me in the same way as the cellar did, and it's like, I don't know, dude. It's fine, especially for a Netflix original film. It's like, cool, I can just watch it on Netflix instead of going to theaters to see this or renting it or whatever. Like, it served its purpose. Let me put it that way. Will I ever watch it again? Probably not. Probably not. It was okay. Nothing overly incredible about it. Like I said, I never tell somebody to not watch a movie. It's just my viewpoint here. Like, it's fine. It's, yeah. I don't know what else to say without spoiling it. It's interesting to a degree, but not interesting enough to where you're like, okay, that's what I'm trying to think. I'm trying to just I'm circling around the thoughts in my head, like, what was the thought with this movie? Like, I get it, I get the idea, pulls ideas from all these other movies I just mentioned, like a Jumanji or a Stay Alive, but it's not as good as those two movies, and I don't know, it didn't leave like a lasting impression on me, if that makes sense. It didn't leave a lasting impression where I'm like, oh, cool, I want to see that again. Like, I'm fine. I enjoyed it the first time I watched it. I didn't, love it. I didn't hate it. It was. I've said that about a couple of movies. Like, it was. It was something I watched. It was something that, it got me interested enough to be like, cool, I'm going to finish this. It got me interested enough to where I got to the end. I'm like, okay, fine. But just not interested enough to where I want to watch it again. I know I probably said the same thing like 5 times there, but whatever. Let's see. So that was 2 reviews. Look at that, 2 extra reviews on this week's episode, man. Episode 100 is a big deal. All right, let's go back into our news section as we get into the mandatory DC portion of the show. I know I talked DC earlier, but this is just DC news later on with some casting news, man, and a new live action comedy coming to HBO Max with Riverdale star KJ Appa, and 1883 actress Isabel May. They have been cast as the alien sibling Wonder Twins. The Wonder Twins. They will be the lead roles for the live-action DC comedy coming to HBO Max. Don't have a whole plot line yet for this, but we know that Jaina is known for her talent of transforming into an animal, while Zan is a shapeshifter of sorts. Wow, that was hard to say. Shapeshifter of sorts. Again, if it's DC, I'm into it. I'm going to watch it. I kind of been watching Riverdale for the last month. And, this is Archie, who KJ Appa is. So, cool. Bring it on, man. Like I said, I like DC. I'm into it, and I'm going to have, I'm going to watch it. Especially it's on HBO Max. I'll definitely give it a check out. But good on them, man. Good to know. Good to see. And look at, like I said, DC already that those discoveries, like, we want to make other characters. Like, DC is doing stuff with other characters, man. Like I said, we got the Batgirl movie coming. We got a Blue freaking Beetle movie coming. Now they're doing something with the Wonder Twins here. So they're working on stuff, man. And let's see, other DC news we got here is that Danny DeVito talked about Colin Farrell's portrayal of the Penguin. He said he thinks that Colin did a great job. Certainly a different kind of film. I think it was more edgy, serious, and gangstery Batman. I think he did a great job. Got to take your hat off to anybody who sits in the makeup chair that long. I did it for my Penguin and loved it. And he said that he enjoyed the film and he enjoys a more emo, realistic Batman film. He, of course, prefers his Batman film, obviously. The Tim Burton Batman films were awesome, but I love the Batman. And speaking of the Batman, as of today, as the recording of this episode is officially on HBO Max. I saw some of my friends that are already watching it, and let me tell you, I'm going to be watching it ASAP. Tonight was Monday Night Raw, so that took up my viewing for the night, but I will gladly be watching the Batman multiple times throughout the year because the Batman is currently sitting at number one as my favorite film of the year. And I'm going to go ahead and say this right now, that I have 3 films that have released so far in this year that are already locked into my top 10. 2 of which are locked into my top 5. They will not be removing from my top 5 of any movies that release this year. Will that come back and bite me? I don't think so. But yeah, like right now I have 3 films locked into my top 10 for the year. Final rankings and all that aren't official yet. Obviously, we're not even halfway through the year yet. But the Batman is obviously in my top 5. X is in my top 5. Those 2 are locked into my top 5 for the year. And I feel really good about saying that. Like I said, Position is not officially locked, but those 2 films are locked into my top 5. As for the other film that is locked into my top 10, is a movie I watched again over the weekend and had a great time. Metal Lords on Netflix, dude. Like, that movie is such a good time. Like, I enjoy that movie so much. Like, I enjoy the soundtrack. Like, when I was watching the credits, I'd pause it and like, all right, what songs are in this movie? Boom, bang, making a playlist, putting that on my YouTube music. And I listened to the freaking main song, um, why is it escaping me? I listened to that song like 6 times in a row today. Oh, Machinery of Torment, the main song from that movie. And freaking, I enjoy that movie so much. I watched it again, like I said, over the weekend. And I'm going to watch it again throughout the year, without a doubt. It's on Netflix, so it's easily accessible. Like I said, the Batman is now on HBO Max, so that's easily accessible. I don't know when X is hitting streaming services. I know it's rentable right now. I'm going to buy that movie as soon as possible as well, anyways. But 3 very solid films in my opinion, and I've had a great time with all 3 films. They've left a lasting impression on me in some way, shape, or form, so all of them are rightfully going to be in my top 10 of the year without a doubt. And like I said, 2 films I feel very confident are going to be locked into my top 5, and like I said, I think they are locked in my top 5 right now with the Batman and X. Still some films to come out this year that I'm highly anticipating, including Jurassic World Dominion and Fantastic Beast just watched, so we're going to talk about that here in a moment. And some other films releasing later this year that are definitely be worth checking out. But as of now, man, that's my 3 locks for the top 10 this year. So let's see. Speaking of films coming out, let's jump into what's releasing this week. With the first one on the list here being The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Action comedy running in at 1 hour and 46 minutes will be released in theaters. Nicolas Cage stars as Nick Cage in the action comedy The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Creatively unfulfilled and facing financial ruin, the fictionalized version of Cage must accept a $1 million offer to attend the birthday of a dangerous superfan played by Pedro Pascal. Things take a wildly unexpected turn when Cage is recruited by a CIA operative and forced to live up to his own legend, channeling his most iconic and beloved on-screen characters in order to save himself and his loved ones. With a career built for this very moment, the seminal award-winning actor must take on the role of a lifetime as Nick Cage. I've seen this trailer several times since going to the theaters and seeing movies, and I plan on seeing the movie this weekend. Unless anything happens, I plan to see it this weekend. I believe Thrill Me Podcast Network's Mr. Wonderful is seeing it as well, or planning to see it this week as well. So probably a double review from us next week, as we like to do, which is fun, man, to get our differing opinions. Sometimes we're on the same boat, sometimes we're not. It's all good. It's all baby. But yeah, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, definitely interested to check that out. The Northman, action adventure, 2 hours 17 minutes, is in theaters as well. Prince Amleth is on the verge of becoming a man when his father is brutally murdered by his uncle, who kidnaps the boy's mother. 2 decades later, Amleth is now a Viking who's on a mission to save his mother, kill his uncle, and avenge his father. Same thing, right? But I've seen the trailer for this one. It does look interesting. I don't believe I'll make it out to theaters. This is one of those movies, if I had like the Regal Pass where you pay $18 or $21 a month and you can go to the movies as many times as you want, I would go see it then. But to make like a separate, ticket buy for this, I don't know if I do it. I am interested in seeing it. I do kind of want to see it. But, like I said, if I'm going to the movies this weekend, it's going to be the Nick Cage movie. Let's see, the other thing we got here is The Bad Guys, PG animation kid family movie, 1 hour, 40 minutes. This is also in theaters. And the new action comedy from DreamWorks Animation based on the New York Times best-selling book series. A crackerjack criminal crew of animal outlaws are about to attempt their most challenging con yet, becoming model citizens. Never have there been 5 friends as infamous as the bad guys. You've got Mr. Wolf, played by Sam Rockwell. You've got Mr. Snake, played by Mark Maron. You've got Mr. Shark, played by Craig Robinson. You've got Mr. Piranha, played by Anthony Ramos. Miss Tarantula, played by Aquafina. And just a whole lot of other stuff going on here. So this animated movie, we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to theaters to see that one. I'll wait for that. Was it DreamWorks? It'll be on Peacock at some point. So, there you go, man. So that does it for the news. That does it for what's releasing this week. That does it for 2 reviews already, my babies. And we got 1 more coming. The main event, the headliner, the Wizarding Magic, is up next. So hang tight as I play the trailer, and then we'll jump into the review of Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore.
If you listen carefully enough, the past whispers to you.
We're here to see Albus Dumbledore.
That would be my brother.
The world as we know it is coming undone. Grindelwald is pulling it apart with hate. If we're to defeat him, you'll have to trust me.
This is the team that's going to take down the most dangerous wizard in over a century. A magizoologist, his indispensable assistant. A wizard descended from a very old family, a school teacher, and a muggle.
Dumbledore asked that I give you something, Jacob. Are you kidding me right now?
Who wouldn't like our chances?
Off to save the world, are we?
Things are not quite what they appear.
Swivel, but delicately.
I'm swiveling like you're swiveling.
Our war with the Muggles begins today!
What is this place?
The room we require.
Correct. 3 points to Hufflepuff.
Can I?
Very dangerous. It's very powerful. If it got in the wrong hands, mess you up.
Where did you get it?
I got it for Christmas.
Yeah, dang right. 3 points to freaking Hufflepuff, man. Hufflepuff pride, baby. I'm proud to be a Hufflepuff. Love being a Hufflepuff. Yes, that was the trailer for Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, released last week. It is a fantasy action adventure film. It's 2 hours, 22 minutes. It is only in theaters. Rotten Tomatoes has a critic score of 49%. Fuck them. Audience score of 85%. There you go. And IMDb 6.6 out of 10%. Professor Dumbledore, Albus Dumbledore, played by Jude Law, knows the powerful dark wizard Gellert Grindelwald, played by Mads Mikkelsen, is moving to seize control of the wizarding world. Unable to stop him alone, he entrusts magizoologist Newt Scamander, played by Eddie Redmayne, to lead an intrepid team of wizards, witches, and one brave Muggle baker on a dangerous mission where they encounter old and new beasts and clash with Grindelwald's growing legion of followers. But with the stakes so high, how long can Dumbledore remain on the sidelines? Dude, I'm not gonna bury the lead. I freaking loved this movie. This movie was fantastic. No pun intended, but it's pretty hilarious. Dude, like, before going to see this movie, I watched both Fantastic Beasts films. I'm excited, man. I was ready. I did a marathon of the first two films going into this movie, and I freaking love the Wizarding World. This is my thing. I've been in love with it since the first book came out, since Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone came out. I know it's Philosopher's Stone, other than in America. But, you know, I've always been fascinated with the world, and I saw all those movies, and I watch them every year. Like, every year I watch all these movies, the Harry Potter films and then the Fantastic Beasts films. I just call them the Wizarding World films because that's what they are. Before my trip to Universal, every year I do a marathon of all those films. And I just love it, man. It's my world, and I love that world so much. So going into this movie, I was very hyped, very excited. And it's just something about sitting in that movie, and then the logo comes up, and you hear the chimes of the Wizarding World, the Harry Potter theme, whatever you want to call it, iconic theme that you recognize, and it just immediately gives you those, for me at least, gives me those goosebumps, and it gives me that happiness, the happy goosebumps, the happiness. I'm like, this is it, man. I love these movies. I love seeing these things. So going into it, I was very stoked and excited. And I love what they did with the movie. I love the story. I love the fact that we're jumping into Dumbledore's background. We're looking into his life. We're looking into his relationship with Grindelwald or Grindelwald, however you want to pronounce it. His name sounds like Grindelwald throughout the movie. And we'll get to Mads in a second here. But I like that idea. I like what they're doing. I like what they're setting up. The beasts in this movie are incredible, man. They're fantastic, if you will. But, I mean, just the way they work. And, like, I think, try not to speak out of turn here, because, like I said, I did watch the other two movies. This movie felt like more of the beast, one of the Fantastic Beasts, was very important to the story. Like in the other movies, we've seen the Niffler, and the Niffler's awesome, right? And we've seen, the other Fantastic Beasts, and we've seen them, and it's cool to see, and they're great to see, and I love seeing them. It makes sense to have all these movies that are called Fantastic Beasts. You want to see them throughout the movie, and you do. But this movie seemed very centered around not just Dumbledore and Grindelwald's relationship and their history, but also centered on this fantastic beast and how important this beast is to everything. And that was cool to see. Like, that was really cool to see. So that was really cool to see. And another, like, the film felt like a Harry Potter film. And what I mean by that is, of course, we've been dealing with the Wizarding World through the other two films, but in this movie, it felt more in line with like what we saw with the other films. Maybe it's because, we're seeing Hogwarts more, which, that's not a spoiler, it's in the trailer, and Hogwarts was in the second movie. We're seeing also in the trailer Hogsmeade. We're spending time in Hogsmeade. So it was really cool to revisit those areas and all those lands and everything. And it was like, cool, man. It's great to see those on screen again. You see again on the trailer, you see Quidditch stuff going on. You see kids in the freaking what am I blanking? The Great Hall. You see kids in there. You see all these familiar sights, and interesting if you grew up on the Harry Potter films and all that stuff, which is, I think, kind of the problem with these films for some people, is they have that Harry Potter stuff stuck in their head, and they're like, oh, Wizarding World is what I want to see, I want to see, I want to see. And they don't let these movies breathe on their own, which they should really honestly do. But yeah, it had those familiar elements to it, and a lot of that has to do with David Yates, who has a history with the Harry Potter films. He did the other two Fantastic Beasts movies, so he's already got his introduction there. But he did some of the Harry Potter movies. He did the Deathly Hallows film. He did Order of the Phoenix. He did Half-Blood Prince. So he's got a very good connection with the Wizarding World, and he did a fantastic job with this movie. Like, I honestly think that this movie is, it's strange to say, I think it's the best of the Fantastic Beasts film. It's definitely my favorite, and that could be a little bit of recency bias. Like I said, I just watched all three films back to back, and they're all really solid films. I never have understood the hate that these movies get. It's never made a bit of sense to me. But I had a great time watching it. And the reason I said it's strange to say this is because obviously I love Johnny Depp, and he should have been in this film. There's no reason he shouldn't have been in this film. And I don't want to hate on Mads Mikkelsen. It's not his fault and all that stuff. But there's several times throughout, anytime I saw that character on screen, I'm like, this should be Johnny. This, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and act like it's different. That's how I felt the whole time. And of course, I love Johnny Depp. Other people who aren't huge Johnny Depp fans, they're probably great and they have a good time. With that said, Mads Mikkelsen does a really great job. He's a very convincing character. He's very convincing as the big bad of the film, if you will. He does a great job. I don't have anything bad to say about him. I enjoyed what he did. I believed him as this dark wizard. Absolutely believed it, and I enjoyed him as a character. I was wishing it was Johnny Depp. Absolutely 100% wish it was him, and I couldn't stop myself from thinking, oh man, this would be so cool if this is Johnny Depp doing this. I wonder how Johnny Depp would have done that. Like, it's impossible not to think about that, for me at least. Other people's probably a little bit easier, but for me, obviously that's going to be a thought. The good thing about this character, and if you think about it more, the character is, he can disguise himself. I mean, obviously the first film, the whole time, spoiler alert, but that movie came out years ago, and if you're seeing this movie, you should have already seen the other one. Colin Farrell is Grindelwald, that whole movie. You go into the second film, it's all Johnny Depp, and then this movie, it's Mads Mikkelsen. Now, the trial is going on right now with Johnny Depp. As soon as, that gets taken care of, I'm hoping that Johnny is back in the Fantastic Beasts, which will be easy to do because you can, like I said, he can change his look and all that stuff. Again, nothing against Mads Mikkelsen. I just want to see Johnny finish his character here. But yeah, overall, it's just an absolutely incredible movie. Like, very well done movie. It's a movie I was hugely looking forward to. I love the Wizarding World. I'm into this stuff so much. And it didn't let me down one bit. I absolutely loved it. I think it's my favorite of the Fantastic Beasts films so far, and I hope it's not the last. I seriously hope it's not the last. There's at least 2 more movies planned. I did see something about Warner Brothers is waiting to see how the movie does before they greenlight the other 2. But, I mean, you gotta keep it going, man. These are so good. And, I mean, the only issue that people... again, it's got an 85% audience score. So the audience going to see this movie are loving it. Like, 85 is a very good score. Hell, the Batman has an 85 on Rotten Tomatoes as a critic score. Let me see what the audience score is real quick. I say real quick, but, see how long this takes. But, 85 is not a bad score. 85 is certified fresh, if I believe correctly on there. Thanks. I really don't know. I have no idea. I don't care all that much. I just want to see what the audience score is for the Batman. And the reason I'm doing this is a Warner Brothers movie. It's an 87, so it's a 2% difference. So freaking Warner Brothers, don't get hasty. I know people are acting the way they're acting about things, but the audience is loving the movie. So the people are going out to see this movie are enjoying it. I say keep making them, at least finish out the film. We got a lot of stuff left over from this movie. There's definitely things that you can see where they're continuing on, and I want to see it, man. I definitely want to see it. I haven't mentioned Ezra. I thought he was great in the movie. I love Ezra, and I hope he gets everything figured out with his personal life to where he can keep playing this role and the Flash role, because I think to me, he's a really good actor, and I thought he was great in the movie. Everybody's great in the movie. I mean, it's the Harry Potter films. You know what you're getting when you jump in here. They're fantastical, and they're very well done. The most comedy you're getting in this movie is with Jacob, because he's normally the comedic effort. But even with that dude, my man does some powerful scenes. There are some powerful scenes involving him, and very well done, man. Very well written movie. Very well put together movie. Like the Fantastic Beasts films, like I said, I never have understood the hate these movies get. I think it's mostly, people who are sick at the Wizarding World, because it's been the focus since 2001. The Wizarding World's been one of the biggest film franchises in the world. So you have those people in the world that are like, oh, I hate it just because it's popular and all that stuff. Then you have those people who are big Harry Potter fans, which, you know, nothing wrong with being a Harry Potter fan, but they can't get it out of their head that stuff can exist in the Wizarding World that isn't Harry Potter. And then you have the people who want to, you know, hate on, you know, the author or certain actors in the film and controversies around it and all that stuff. So we're going to see where it ends up going. Like I said, I hope they keep going. I thoroughly enjoy this film, and I want to see where this ends up, you know, going in the long haul, because this movie was just an absolute blast, man. Absolute blast. So, yeah, man, I'm so happy. I can't wait to see it again. I might make myself go to theaters to see it again if I have another opening. Like I said, there's a movie coming out this week, and then next week I believe is Thor, and I'm gonna go see that. You know, whether I'm a huge Marvel fan or not, it doesn't matter. It's still a movie worth seeing. So yeah, we'll see. Like, I'm stoked though, man. I absolutely had a blast with that movie. It didn't let me down one bit. I was completely pulled in and entranced by everything I was seeing on screen. I'm like, this is my world. This is the stuff I love. Like, there's always these questions I see because I follow theme park stuff, and I love theme parks, especially Universal. And they're like, if you can stay at any ride or anything in Universal, where would you be? And I'm like, fucking put me in Hogsmeade. Like, let me stay in the castle. You know, I mean, I don't care. Let me stay there. Like, I just want to live in Hogsmeade or live in Diagon Alley. Are you kidding me? Freaking Nocturne Alley, live back there and everything. Oh, be so cool, dude. Anyways, I love the Wizarding World. And that does it for episode 100, man. We made it. We got through 100 episodes. I'm extremely stoked and excited about all of this. Hope you had a good time listening to me throughout this episode. Felt very good recording this episode. Hope it came out that way. I feel very vibrant. Is vibrant the word? I don't know, dude. I don't care about words. But it's a great thing as a podcaster to not care about words, isn't it? You've heard me. I can't say names worth the hell. But anyways, good times, man. Great times to be had. Until next time, you know, we got a whole nother, I don't know what I'm talking about here. I mean, but like I said, I love the Wizarding World. As you know, the quote that I do at the end of the episodes is from the Wizarding World and from Dumbledore, and is a quote I love, and hopefully will have tattooed on me one day whenever I can start getting tattoos. But, man, so excited, man. 3 reviews in this episode. Just everything's going great, man. Very happy and excited right now. So, again, follow the Thrill Me Podcast Network on Facebook and Instagram, and there's a TikTok. Again, check out all their shows. The Metal Groove and Haunter's Podcast both drop new episodes as well. We've got my show here, as you're listening to. You've got the Mr. Wonderful shows dropping a new episode, and Zach's Speakeasy coming out later this week as well. So make sure you follow us all there. Every single episode gets added to the YouTube, so you can find all our stuff there. But, man, just feeling good, man. Episode 100, everything feels good. I'm enjoying this show. I'm loving doing this show. I feel more confident doing this show. And, yeah, I'm excited, man. So, appreciate you all. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me ramble on. And as always, remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.
Thank you for joining me this week. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to get updates on all new episodes. As well, follow me on Twitter at review_it_Rob. Stay tuned for more adventures.